Truly awesome to all be together again. Well, Dani, you coming down from Sydney makes this the United Health Education team all in one space today. How incredibly fortunate. I get lucky enough that I see Julie every day, so 2/3 of United Health Education is in one place, and now we're all together ready for informing everybody about what United Health Education really is, and maybe a little bit more depth into who we are. It really certainly did begin back at Pro Raw Gym when Dani, you as an osteopath was meeting me as Andrew, a physio. We use those terms relatively loosely, naturally, because that's part of the process that we recommend to people, that we aren't defined by professions. But we certainly saw we each had gifts that we could certainly give to a wider audience. And Julie, with your special expertise and huge experience in the fitness industry, it was just great for us all to suddenly come together and realise that we could give so many gifts to a community that really only saw separate personalities. So we now create a community not of separate personalities, but people who are all heading in one direction. And we started that because we all love our one direction as well, which is health, fitness, helping people. Initially, of course, it was helping patients, but our real work is in helping trainers, helping professionals. That's where the education component comes into it, is we really are educators, each in our own field, that combines and blends so well across a spectrum. So it's a beautiful thing to be here together. So Dani, thanks for coming down to Melbourne. Good to have you here again. Of course, you're down for a special reason?
To see you guys, of course. No, we made the pact that even though I was moving to Sydney, that we'd always keep the business going. And the fact that we do see patients in the flesh, but working online allows us to continue what United Health Education is, and allows us to always build on it. And that's why we are here today, is what Andrew was saying. We're here to really show you guys now what we've been working so hard on to take United Health to the next level. And we've really built that based off what our followers, our clients, our patients have requested from us, because it is a bit of an epidemic in a sense that there is so much missing from the allied health space, and there's so much missing from the fitness world. And we've recognised those missing links, and it's awesome to be able to work with you guys to be able to connect everything. And as Andrew mentioned, yes, we use our titles very loosely because we may have studied and received a title, but after you graduate, I think that's when the work actually begins. So it's really cool to be here today to be able to show everyone what we've been working on and give you a little bit more information about where we plan to take this as well.
Yes, lose your religion is one of the things we recommend to all professionals in the health sphere, is that don't become obsessed just by the title that you have or the area you work in, because everyone else has gifts that you can open your ears and eyes to receive. And that's been the biggest part of our United Health Education, is uniting so many aspects, from the physical, the mental, the aspects of anatomy, the exercise work. Of course, when we first started doing our seminars, we wrote so much coursework, and Julie, of course, was so much of our exercise model because of your expertise and excellence in exercise performance.
Absolutely. Yes, so you talk about losing your religion. I distinctly remember in 1986 when I graduated as a registered nurse. I was probably one of the very first, maybe even second cohort that actually did and graduated with a degree in nursing. And so there I was working as a registered nurse, and on the sideline working as a group fitness instructor. So my love of health and movement has always been there since I've been 18. So, yeah.
What drove you into that, Julie?
What drove me to nursing?
Nursing and in the fitness world.
I probably have that personality that has always been about helping. I am an empath. So it just naturally dawned on me that I was going to work in the health profession, in the helping profession. And I've always been active. I don't actually remember a day, apart from 9 months of being pregnant, where I didn't move as either as a participant in group fitness or as an instructor.
And Dani, what age did you first pick up a tennis racket?
Yes, I think I was about 10.
Yep.
Dad forced us into some kind of sport because we were getting on the larger scale compared to our friends, and Dad says, right, you guys have to play a sport now. It's getting a bit ridiculous. You watch The Simpsons too much, so let's start you playing tennis. So 10 years old, my brother and I started, played for about 15 years, but it just so happened that Dad was actually a bodybuilder and we would watch his shows. So then it came to a point where I was about 16 where there was a crossover with tennis and the gym. And then I actually just started taking the gym a little bit more seriously because it was independent, really. You can go in at your own schedule, work on what you wanted to. So then naturally found myself chasing that career path and decided to, swap the tennis racket for some dumbbells and barbells and continue down that way. So I wasn't always a super active kid, but then as I became a teenager, it's definitely a way of life. There's no other way.
And somehow you ended up in a career of osteopathy to start. How did that choice happen?
Similarly to Julie, I mean, we were, working in the gym space felt so separate from allied health in a sense, like with your nursing and group fitness instructing. I was a personal trainer first, but then became an osteopath, yet the worlds just felt so separate, and they still kind of do. I mean, as an osteopath, yes, we learn anatomy, yes, we learn beautiful hands-on techniques and how to address your patients. However, there is still a big lack in learning movement and learning exercise rehab. So that's where I started to really become almost questioning the coursework. Why did we not learn much exercise rehab? I mean, I'd spent years being a personal trainer, teaching my clients how to move well. I had no idea about exercise. I had no idea about injury rehabilitation from my Cert 3 and 4. But then I started learning about injuries and recognized, hang on a minute, there is no overlap. My osteo teachers are asking me about the gym and my competing and my bodybuilding. It all just, I found it a little bit odd. So that's where my journey of discovering, hang on a minute, how do we bridge this gap? That's how it started. And that's when I ran into you in Pro Raw Gym in 2019 and saw, hang on a minute, Andrew isn't hands-on with any patients. He's doing exactly what I've been trying to figure out how to do. Work with patients to cure injury in a long-term way through exercise. And that's when the light bulb went off, and that's when we started working together, and really that was the final piece of my journey of bridging the gap, just figuring out, there's just a few things missing, and then you guys came along, which is awesome.
And Julie, certainly you've worked well with Dani and myself over all these years, and you've morphed your teaching into realistically health movements, haven't you, for
Absolutely.
Older people?
Yes. So when I look at predominantly my population, my demographics of people who come to my classes, they tend to be over 65. And when they come in, they often say, I'm not moving as well as I used to. I don't know what's happened, but over the decades, I feel as though I'm a bit slower. What's the natural progression? Come to a class, because that's the beautiful thing about doing group fitness, is that it is very non-intimidating. You come to a class, there's no equipment, there's just an instructor on the stage taking a general fitness class. And that's where I realised that general fitness to a specific population is okay, but it's not specific. And that's where I think that where my skills of having come into United Health Education, learning from these two brilliant people, that I've dialed in and really laser focused my class to be very specific with the population of over 65?
It's us, isn't it?
It is.
We really are people who have come together because somehow we happen to like other people. We're pretty much human people, and we enjoy talking, working, experiencing and helping other human beings. It's what drove us into health. We're people who, we wouldn't be accountants and lawyers in our life, no matter if it was far more financially opportunistic for us. It wouldn't matter. This is where our lives are passionately drawn towards. So for us to produce the solutions that we've worked so hard on, to give to everybody else in the community that's looking for answers, that's really why we bring United Health Education together, is to help people find the answers that they know are out there, but we're going to save them decades of searching and dead ends by showing them the real hacks and the shortcuts. It's like using Google Maps perhaps to get somewhere a little bit better, a little bit faster, and knowing how to get to an end point so much better, with good sense and good science behind it. As we know, with our community that we see, they've got a lot of the things that we've all been through. So they're coming to us to learn not only better ways of doing things, but there's a lot about being a health professional that involves you, not just your patient. And one of those things would be experiencing the burnout. We'll start off with discussing that burnout experience. All of us, I'm sure, have experienced what it's like to be so giving to everybody that you work with. You're answering questions late at night when you shouldn't be. You're giving your time away from perhaps your family. You're spending more time. You're starting earlier in the day. You're finishing later at night. Well, you love working with people and people want you to help them, and you can't stop yourself. How did you handle, Dani, the burnout experience? What happened for you?
Fair few tears. No, I most experienced it while I was in my 5th year of uni, so doing prac work. I was still teaching people as a personal trainer, so I had all my studies, had my clients, but then also was prepping for a bodybuilding show, all in the 1 year, because I just love filling my plates with things and realised, okay, something amazing is about to happen after the top of this hill. I just have to get there. I don't know what it is, but I just kept chasing what I love doing. And I did consider not finishing my degree, which I'm so glad I did, because that would have been a nightmare. So just kept going. And you have to make sacrifices. I mean, I was not social at all. My life was very linear. It was just about my training, my eating, to lose weight for the stage, seeing patients, making sure I passed university. So it was just a big juggling act, to be honest. And yes, it was very exhausting. I would never put myself in a situation like that ever again, but I'm glad I did at the time, because there was not really one person that I could model. And I didn't have someone, as you said, showing me the Google Maps. It was me just trying to create my own. And that's where I think a lot of the exhaustion came from. So sort of wandering in the dark with so much passion and drive that I was almost sprinting in the dark. But yeah, it did take a lot out of me.
And how have you now managed to recognise not doing that again? What is it about you and managing yourself? Because you're still very passionate, you're still very busy. How do you recognise and prevent yourself from burning out now?
Definitely, I think I've got myself into a position career-wise where I can be a little bit more flexible with my time and energy in a sense. And the three of us have really created a path that's so strong. There's no guesswork anymore. I don't feel alone. I feel very supported. And I'm very confident in what we do. So that's where a lot of the mental exhaustion came from, just the uncertainty, which we still get. I mean, this is the first time we've done something like this today, but we lean into that uncertainty with confidence as a team, and it really has helped.
So that really gives you a key as your burnout was very mentally draining for you, not just the physical work that you handle so very well. It really was a mental aspect that you've got to learn to handle, and we look forward to helping our people that join our community and membership, through our stories, perhaps we can give those advice that they need so they can recognise it and avoid it. And Julie, you certainly went through the burnout experience in your profession as well.
Yes, as a nurse, you practice in a model that is based on a sick model. Patient comes into the hospital, and by that stage a diagnosis has been made and treatment takes place. Often the treatment may really be just symptomatically based on, let's just get this patient out of pain. And when you look at that model and you see the patient coming in time and time again, whether it's in a hospital situation or like yourselves as practitioners, that burnout becomes very evident because you don't get a resolution. It's almost come in, go out, come back in, and it's a recycle. That to me is not a very satisfying way that I could see how I was nursing. And as a result, it was only a matter of years before I sort of said enough. And I'm sure that, as we know, the story between Andrew and Dani and myself, it's not the way that we like to practice anymore. So that's where burnout came to the end, and I jumped off that ship and have now moved into a model now that is based on prevention and solving the issue.
Now you moved out of the nursing profession and went into the group fitness. That
Absolutely.
in itself involves burnout. How many group fitness instructors have we seen burn out?
Yes, group fitness, what can I say? It is a merry-go-round of doing as many classes as you can, and particularly if you're a full-time group fitness instructor, you'll know you're not only taking your own classes during the week, in the 7-day week, but you'll say to yourself, oh, I will cover someone else's classes. And before you know it, you haven't taken into account your own self-care, which may involve taking time off, doing your own training, moving from class to class, and really not paying attention to your own nutritional needs and your own mindset. So yes, Andrew, you've identified where, as a group fitness in the fitness sphere, that can really be neglected.
It does take us there, doesn't it?
It does.
We all get that burnout experience, and it usually comes from serving other people more than you serve yourself. And professionally, once you've graduated, you tend to do a lot of work to try and financially catch up. And so you are running odd hours quite often. And that's okay. You just need to be aware when you start to run down that you're not going to service anybody very well. If you're burnt out, you're not going to give the best service.
Did you go through any of that over your career, or even
Definitely.
Just yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we just talked about how doing the American tour just recently, I was on for, I think, 11 weeks, every minute of the day. Seminars, workshops, working with people. And it was, my mind and body was set to perform. And the moment I finished with the last commitment, I spent 4 days in bed straight after that, couldn't get out. And that was a necessary set. It was saying, this is a mission to achieve, be on, give 100%. And then the body said, time down. Great. 4 days of just not doing anything, not servicing anyone, not looking at the phone, being totally allowing myself to settle. And then the following weekend, another seminar, another podcast, but being fresh and being able to give my best. So your body and your brain can often tell you when you need to stop. And there's no need to do the grind at that point. You will definitely do better if you do step back. We enjoy the fact that we do sometimes carry out missions. We set a goal, and regardless of what that goal requires, we just don't stop until that goal is achieved. Well, once that goal is achieved, I think it's a good time to appreciate the goal before resetting the next goal. Burnout, it can certainly work, especially for people who are very successful in the industry as well. So you can be super busy and you're going to really enjoy the ride, but at some point you do need to give it to yourself And then on the other side, the people who aren't super busy are burning out because they're doing the 5 o'clock session with their person in the morning, then they're doing a 6 o'clock, and then they're off until 3 in the afternoon. And then they're doing the late night session. They're catching the 7 and 8 o'clock just to make the money. Yeah, you've got to be very, very wise about how you manage yourself, and that's where United Health Education really comes in, is we can save you a lot of that burnout experience by giving you the tools to manage yourself so much better.
I definitely don't miss those early sessions, and you have nothing to do in the day than late night, being there. But I find that a lot of people just try and do more and be more, particularly now with social media. I feel like it's so much worse now than, when we all started. But people are feeling like imposters. People are feeling like they don't know enough. They have to do more. They have to be more. They have to be good at everything. So with burnout, I think, is a byproduct from people feeling like an imposter, and we are seeing imposter syndrome so commonly now with social media. I mean, I definitely went through it at the start, but then I got some really great advice from someone, and this was before our first seminar together, actually. I was excited, but I just had that little voice of self-doubt, of course. How am I going to compare to the great Andrew Locke? And then this person said to me, yes, we know Andrew's amazing, but Dani, you have to be yourself. You have put in the work, you've put in your own time, your uniqueness. People are also coming for you. So be you. Never stop being hungry and grateful, but just be yourself. Well,
isn't that a good one? A solution to the imposter syndrome. And usually if someone feels they have imposter syndrome, it is because that they are an imposter. That's such an important part. Don't deny it. You're not as good as you want to be. That's fair. You are an imposter. But you really found a good solution there. Was you were trying to be an imposter, you felt the pressure of trying to be someone other than Dani. And as soon as you were Dani, you weren't being an imposter because you were really Dani. You are Dani.
Yeah.
You're Julie, I'm Andrew. We're not imposters. We are living ourselves. And that's a really important part of the management of the imposter syndrome, is you're not trying to be somebody else at all. You're just trying to be you. Now, you might not know enough, and that's what we're here for, because you don't know enough, and we've been through that, and we do have the answers that you need. So you come to us with the questions, and we produce the educational content that will allow you to be you, but be you with the answers that you're seeking. Such an important part. Did you ever go through the imposter syndrome idea, Julie?
Not really. Not really, because I'm one of those people that never took on more than I could manage. So perhaps for me, I'm not the most adventurous person. So there are certain personalities like myself that will just take their career to there, and then probably from that base then move up to the next one. So I never really took on more than I could chew.
That's a really good way to approach it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were learning the things that you had to do. Well, the first group fitness classes that you ever taught, how did they go?
They went really well. I've always had a good base of movement, and it really started that I'm looking at the instructor and I'm thinking to myself, I can do what she does. I went home, and this is probably where my success came in. I practiced and practiced for weeks on end. I went and did my, in those days, exercise to music course. In those days, it wasn't called a Cert 3 or 4, but it was an exercise to music course that we did at trying to think of the institute that at that time, it was Rusden, which was in the 80s. And I just remember being super prepared. And as they say, practice does, to a certain extent, give you confidence.
So there you are in your first group fitness class, well prepared.
Well prepared.
And a wonderful experience.
Loving it.
Dani didn't have that experience, did you, Dani?
I was waiting for it. Well done, Julie. That's good. So yes, I was super prepared in my first class that I taught, except that backfired because it was too complicated. So my job was to have, I think there was about 12, I was in a women's only gym at the time for my first ever job. I had my little notebook out with all the circuits I wanted, and I really wanted to impress them, and I just overdid it. And I had too many exercises, too much equipment. It was a big shit show, and then they all walked out. They all just ended up going on the cardio, and I felt I didn't sleep that night. Again, a few tears were shed. But then the beauty of what you said is, you just got to keep practicing, and it was a big learning curve for me. And the lesson I took from it was simplify. You always have to take a positive. But yeah, I've been there where people are walking out of classes, and I feel like every scenario that could have happened in someone's journey has happened to me. But that's why we work so hard now to share where we've come from. We didn't just wake up and be in the position that we're in, There are times where it is hard, but the people who are successful are the ones who never quit.
That is it, isn't it? And if I look at my initial movement into the physiotherapy world, I was just very fortunate that the first job I was given was at an eminent sports clinic, but I was not expected to be the eminent sports specialist. They were taking me on as a junior to perform certain hands-on skills that I was competent at. So I wasn't expected to be the senior clinician who had to have all the answers to everything. I was the junior, and my role was to learn. So I never had to become an imposter because I was the junior, and you all know more than me. So I'm here to learn. And that was the experience that I was lucky enough, and if you get that experience, that can be an important part of when you come into a practice, that you know your position within the practice. You're not the expert when you first start out. You shouldn't be expected to be the expert. And if you're trying to act like you're the expert, you're going to be playing imposter syndrome, and you're just going to be fooling yourself. And usually patients can pick it if you're not authentic. So being authentically good at what you do is part of the first stage of building a very competent, good, strong psyche about yourself.
I think part of the success personally for me was the fact that I actually had a mentor. So I failed to sort of mention that, but yes, I actually had a mentor who was behind the scenes giving me lots of advice and helping me develop my skills as a group fitness instructor. So that is, to me, a very big key to success, to have someone who's been before you and walked the path, and then be kind enough and generous enough to then share the knowledge. And yes, I do acknowledge that. It didn't just come out of nowhere.
It was just you, Julie, on your own.
No,
that makes me feel better.
So you had a nice mentor.
Yes, I had a very nice mentor who was generous enough, and she basically took me through, said, yes, you're going to do this, you're not going to do this, and blah, 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 blah. So I had, in actual fact, the roadmap. So that was a very useful thing. Interesting,
because I would have had a not very nice mentor, but it wasn't a person who wasn't nice, as in was offensive. It was just a person who, as a professional, was so far superior, and she knew she was so far superior, so that you barely earned the right to be able to ask her a question anyway. And if she decided to actually give you some information, you made sure you freaking knew what you were going to do, and you studied beforehand. I would go into surgery with some of the best surgeons in the country, and if you know you're going to surgery that day, you also know the surgeons are going to be testing you. So you would be doing your anatomy work the night beforehand, very much reviewing the things you've done, because the first thing the surgeon does is they start cutting up. What am I doing here? How long does this one take to heal? Wow. Oh, what's this nerve? Where's that going? And it's all about that you actually don't sometimes have, mentors don't have to be patting bunny rabbits. Your mentors can be some fairly significant, influential individuals who are just making sure that you rise to the level that you're supposed to achieve. I've amusingly watched some great clinicians absolutely rip other professionals apart. Well, because they weren't competent enough to earn the right to be at the level that they were working at. So mentors can be nice, you get the right ones, and sometimes they're out there. Sometimes they can be a little bit solid and they can be confronting. But there's always, realistically, if you're lucky enough, there's nothing personal in those attacks. It's helping us. Did you see, Dani, when you graduated, you pretty much went into, what sort of practice did you go into? And what sort of people did you have to work with? Did you get mentoring, or were you expected to just go for it?
Yeah, I mean, I was friends with a lot of my mentors, actually. I loved hanging around people who were very successful in what they did. So I never really had one person to guide me on my path, but hung out with some pretty cool people, you know, top athletes, business owners, and just, you know, even yourself. I made sure when we didn't know each other, I tried to sit at the front of your seminar. I was taking notes. I put my hand up to be the example. Like, I just took myself right out of my comfort zone to earn the right, as you mentioned, to then be able to get to that next level with the mentor and ask questions and really learn from people. So I took advice from so many different people. From my own training, I had a coach. You know, I learned a lot from you. I learned about business from people. So I think that's really important, to never try to be exactly like someone else, but pick and choose the advice you take from different people and then create who you are as an individual.
That's a perfect way to be, isn't it? So as United Health Education, we're here to be those mentors for everybody. Julie's a nice mentor, so are you. I'm a pretty okay one. But yes, this is our gift, is to be the guiding lights and to know the things that we needed help with in our careers. And we provide that on this platform. We provide people the opportunity to go and say, okay, these are people who are part of my community. They care about me. We're United Health Education. We do care about everybody who's part of our community. So we really are here to be the mentors that you required, that you needed, and that you need right now. Even now, we ourselves, we still have people that we look up to, and we have great relationships with them. So it's a community, it's a worldwide growth, it's organic what we do. We'll bring you to the level that you want to be in your life, huh?
The great thing about what we come as three is that each of us is very individual. Our personalities are very different. With myself, I tend to respond better with people that are positive. I know that for other people, they like a mentor that's a little bit harder, puts a little bit more pressure on them. For example, hey, have you done this, this and this? Some people may not respond to that. So each of us brings to United Health Platform a different personality. And you'll find that in the way that we put out our product. So our products are very different in that there may be some teaching tools that will be more about a bit softer, a bit more beginners. And then you've got some other products where Andrew will present in more of a way that is, this is what you do, learn this, blah, 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 and that way. So I always find that our product caters for as many people as possible. It's not just the one person that will get the most out of our products. It's that we provide everything for everybody.
You know, in our careers, one of the things about a career is it has to actually financially support you, doesn't it? In your goals and dreams, you need to be able to make an income that's going to allow you to reach the points that you desire in your life. Initially, straight out of university, you're just happy to see some money. Out of your courses, you're just happy to be earning something for a change a little bit better. But there is a challenge, isn't it, about being able to be financially successful along with professional success. One of the best lessons I ever learned in that area was don't ever undercharge. That was so important. You'll always find out that if you charge a person less, or perhaps even as benevolence to certain people, you might even not charge somebody. Well, guess what? Who doesn't turn up to their appointment, who doesn't respect you as a professional? One of the biggest things there is if you don't respect yourself, you're not going to be respected by the people who you serve. So there is an interesting experience from a financial point of view. Most people are really trying to make not only enough to survive, but also enough to move forward. It's a big challenge in the industry, isn't it, Dani?
Absolutely, and I've definitely had my time when I first started as a hands-on osteopath, so leaving the fitness world temporarily to be an osteopath in a clinic. I've been through having the empty books. I mean, And yes, it's easy for people to get down on themselves when people aren't booking in, but I used that spare time to then create my online coaching. And that was such a blessing because I thought, no, I'm not just going to sit here with my arms crossed and not do anything and get upset that people aren't coming in. How do I continue to work on my vision, even if it is outside of the job role that I'm in, which was half an hour appointments back to back to back to back, try and rebook. It's okay if they come in with the same problem next week. You know, I didn't like that. So any chance where I yes, didn't have money coming in, but I had time, I used that to create the next part, which was online coaching. And that's how you can really earn the right to charge more in a sense, because you start to create your own job role. Yes, us three have the same underlying vision of long-term health and wellness for our patients, not just treating them like another number, rebooking and all of that, because that's short-term financial success. And you get a lot of practitioners that are so proud on how many hundreds of patients they can see in a week. But for us to be able to be here right now, filming in this studio, charging a premium price, is because we have stayed authentic. We've continued to work on ourselves, and we've come up with a model that can be taught from anywhere in the world. And at the end of the day, yes, we enjoy getting paid a premium price, but we want to be able to teach you guys to actually earn the money that you deserve, but feeling good about it and not feeling gross where you know you didn't fix your patient, but you're really good at sales, so you still got them to come back in again. That is the worst feeling, and we don't encourage that. So I think it's pretty cool what we do and how we do it in that way.
And there are people whose motivations for being in the profession are purely financial, and they're not people focused. I'm not there to judge them. That's the way that they run their life. And I worked with a chiropractor once who saw 100 patients in one day. Now, do you know how much care any of those actually got? Yeah, not much. But he was not concerned with patient care. His model was, how much money do I possibly make? Because I want to tell the other chiropractors how much money I make. And that was all his game was all ever about, and has always had been, was simply financial model. Well, yes, through United Health Education, we can teach you the tools to be financially successful, but it's more going to be you're successful because you're servicing other people and helping them get better. Our model is built upon patient care and great outcomes. And through that, you become financially successful. But yes, there are people out there, it's all about how much they can make, and certainly from using our tools, they will be more successful. Have you met those ones out there, Julie? Financial success challenges, and even in your life in group fitness, earning enough?
Oh, yes. Often group fitness instructors will say, if I'm doing this for the money, there's no way I'll be teaching classes. We don't get paid enough to jump up and down and do what we do. Honestly, the wear and tear on your body is immense. So I probably wouldn't be talking about financial success if I was talking about group fitness, because that probably the two of them don't go hand in hand. You do it for the love of it. You do it for the love.
You do it for the love, and you have to run a lot of classes if you wish to be able to survive.
Just to survive, just to survive. I know some instructors who work 20 classes, do 20 classes a week. And I'm not talking classes where they're walking around the room instructing. They're on the stage pounding their bodies, jumping up and down, you know, holding weights and lifting heavy. Imagine that continuously, and the repetitions and the amount of energy that goes into that. Yes, often you won't see them in 5 years' time. Or if you do, they've got chronic injuries. You know who I'm talking about.
Those in the industry certainly do. Of course, your group fitness classes are ones that will help people last longer.
Yes, and myself. And to be honest, you know, I call it selfish or not. The idea is that I want to make a maximum impact without damaging my own health and body. So that's where, for me, I've seen the value of moving away from high impact sports type classes now to working with the older demographics, and there I can make an absolutely amazing impact. Yes.
So yes, we've definitely found that when it comes to the are you making enough money, it can be very impactful into the group fitness world, and us as professionals, it can make us work exceptional amounts of hours that are not very beneficial to us. So to be able to produce, like yourself, Dani, online instruction and teaching people how to become successful online is super important.
Absolutely, and it comes down to career satisfaction as well. I mean, we can be working and making good money, but if you hate waking up every day and going to work, then what's the point? So we're so blessed to love what we do. And we love what we do because we have molded our own career. And, based on what we love. We choose to wake up and do what we do because no one has to tell us what to do. We just molded it based on passion and good values, and career satisfaction's through the roof for us, but I remember what it feels like to not love your job, and I'll make sure to never be in that position again. But now we are at a point where we are able to teach people how to love what they do. And I think a lot of that also comes from not having to try and be good at everything. I mean, we don't teach nutrition. There's so many things that we don't do. If we applied ourselves, I'm sure we could learn all of these skills, but we've really honed in on our specialties, our individual specialties, and have come together as a team. So that's what we love teaching people, that yes, you pick and choose what you love to do. If you've always got the patient's best interest first, and you are a good person and you work hard and get help from people who have been there before, you too can put yourself in such a unique position where you love what you do and you've literally created your own job role.
So we're health professionals. We tend not to use our titles very often because once you use your title, you become a bit too exclusive. So by opening ourselves up as health professionals, that's the career that we're really talking about. And you have found a point there, Dani, where you weren't satisfied. Something wasn't making you happy with your career as a health professional. What happened there?
I think it was just the lack of the ability to expand. And it was a bit of a rat race. I mean, talking about burnout earlier when I was studying, but then I also found that in a career sense where there was no flexibility. And yes, I had amazing people who I worked for, so I'm not really complaining in that sense, but it just, there's just a feeling inside that you chase when you love something, and no one else can give you that. You have to go out on your own, find your mentors and create it yourself. So I think just being so boxed into society and the mold of what society's view on success was really caused a lot of internal discomfort. I didn't like the idea of having to have a set time on my appointments or a set way of treating a patient that didn't align with my values. So yeah, a lot of the dissatisfaction came from that, but it goes off what we were saying in creating our own path. You can eradicate that dissatisfaction and truly give a service that you're proud of.
So that's a big thing, turning something you're dissatisfied with and making an action to make it satisfactory so you really enjoy being a health professional.
Absolutely, and it's given us flexibility. I think that's another big one that people don't really have. Again, they're boxed into crazy hours, whether it be back-to-back patients or whether it be what we said earlier, morning, nothing on in the middle of the day, come back at night time when you're exhausted, hurting your body doing group fitness classes time and time again. So by being able to feel good about what you do, being able to charge more, okay, so you charge a premium, you don't have to see as many patients, it gets you in a position where you can be smart with your time. And then in that free time, yes, we need some downtime, but it allows you to work on businesses. That's how we created UHE. If we were stuck in classes or back-to-back with patients, we wouldn't have been able to create this business. So flexibility, we use that tool to our advantage. Yes, we go on nice holidays sometimes, but a lot of that free time is actually put towards new projects. And I think everyone deserves to feel flexible in their own way. And I know it is a little bit of a cliche that people chase flexibility, but you become a slave to your life if you don't have some element of flexibility.
Very important part of it, for you?
Actually, I have to say, Andrew, you've really carved a fabulous life for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I should know because I see the way that you, just in the day of Andrew, just in the from the beginning, the moment that you wake up in the morning to the evening, your life now has changed so much. Can
As
you
being
just tell
authentic,
everybody
being authentically
now?
me. Yeah.
From the
And
moment you wake up.
earning the right to be me. That's the best part of it. Is, yes, how long does it take to be an overnight success? Maybe 20 years. 10 years in a lot of sports to become very good, but I think as a health professional to reach the very top, and if you're on your journey a lot by yourself, it takes a lot longer. That's why United Health Professional, we're the supercharger really that changes everything, because instead of a person sitting there and going, okay, my career starts and here I am by myself, they've got access to the decades of us having been in the coal mines, in the salt mines, doing the work, finding those answers, finding the gems that really do work, and then they come to us and we can save them decades of here's the way it works. This is what you're looking for. And that's where my life has been spent, doing the thing I love, whether it was initially playing sport at any level, that looking at wanting to be professional in sport, and then taking on a professional career that I had dreams to be as good at finding the answers that other people had not yet found. There's the satisfaction, especially, is to go, I've just done something nobody else has ever done. And if they have done, they haven't written down about it. So my career now is wonderful. Yes, I treat everything from celebrity to royalty to recording artists to military to first responders to general population all around the world. I love actually going out and seeing everyone around the world from every continent almost this year. It's a love of people. So I live my life of, I get up in the morning and I start looking at messages from all around the world. I love all the messages from around the world. And it's a real experience of going, I am someone that people want to be like. They want to achieve this level of, as Dani would say, authenticity. I'm me. So the authenticity is what creates my world. Is I don't pretend to be anybody else. I sometimes have to tone it down so that you don't get to see all the real me, but the me that's going to help you become who you have to become authentically. So career satisfaction, well, you're not probably going to get it initially in the first couple of years, but you should be enjoying the process anyway. And then the satisfaction comes when you start doing things a little bit more creatively and you're creating the special thing that makes you different to somebody else. Because everybody who attends the United Health Education process is an individual. They're not supposed to become Dani. They're not supposed to become Julie. They're not supposed to become Andrew. They're supposed to become themselves. And our service is to show you how to become the best of you in the career that you've chosen. That's how we played my game. So yes, go to bed thinking about how I could do something better, and getting up the next day and perhaps having a bit of an answer how it might happen, huh? That is the challenge. A lot of people, as we know, this does lead to some people feeling like they get a bit caged into their lives, doesn't it? With inflexible hours of work. You had that experience too, Dani?
Yeah, well, sort of that's what, off the back end of what we were saying, was just being boxed into society and the expectations. So having our flexibility has allowed us, I think, also to not forget probably our last and most important point of still looking after your own health and wellness. A lot of people, as you mentioned, group fitness instructors, a lot of wear and tear on the body.
Yeah.
Manual therapists, a lot of wear and tear on the body. And then sometimes you get so caught up in your work that you just neglect your own training, and then it feeds into imposter syndrome, then it feeds into burnout, and it's a big cycle. So first and foremost, aside from looking after our patients, we have to look after ourselves. Very important.
Here, absolutely. I'm so big about you can't look after your patients, your participants, until you look after yourself. You cannot be the role model. You cannot be dishing out advice if you yourself are not doing, as they say, do as I do, not just as I say.
Yep, that's a good way, isn't it? Because we are often constrained by the 24 hours that are in a day. And It can be challenging to be time challenged, to be able to prioritise all the things we have to do. How do you prioritise, Dani?
A lot of organisation, a lot of minimisation, and realising life's not a race, even though I always want to be at the top of the mountain straight away, but you really, really have to slow down and just enjoy the lessons along the way, because if we were handed everything without sort of earning the right or without learning the skills in order to get that thing, then we wouldn't value it, we wouldn't feel worthy of it. So it's really important to never feel completely satisfied, but then realise that our journey that we're taking everyone on is lifelong, and we're going to be learning too forever.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to learn with everyone and guide them and
learn from our people, our community as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we say often, don't be pressured to feel like your life should be in balance. For success, realistically, there are times it has to be out of balance, and don't feel that's wrong. Don't feel the pressure as if suddenly I've always got to have this perfect work-life balance. In fact, we say there is no true work-life balance. There's work-life choices. You make your choices to help you become the authentic you, to provide the best service that you can to your patient and yourself. So work-life choices has to become the approach, rather than saying, I've got to have this perfect balance, because if you are truly balanced, you may be a very happy person. But you may not be, because you'll sacrifice something because you think you have to be balanced. To recognise that it's not wrong to have to give more time to certain things at certain times. To be successful and then be authentically you, to resolve the imposter syndrome you may feel there, it may require that you're actually going to do a bit more work and have to ignore other parts of your life. So be aware that, don't be so pressured that I have to be balanced all the time. That's not a very natural way of existence anyway. We need to be able to accept that there are times when we are going to focus and other things suffer. But the things we focus on didn't suffer. They helped us go to the next level, didn't they? So those solutions are super important. And our approach, as we say, is very much patient-focused, is very much client-focused. It's about getting the best outcomes for the people that we deal with. That comes with certain experience, doesn't it, Dani?
Absolutely. So that's why we've created or taken our work online. I mean, we've been doing our work together for years and individually for decades, but we've gotten to the point where we do have an amazing online resource for everyone, and to take you through, you know, what we went through, but the easier parts, not the hardships. We've done the hard yards. We want to take you and give you that roadmap, as we were saying, to the career of your dreams, your version of what your ideal life looks like, your version of what flexibility looks like, your dream income. And we're teaching you the foundation and the pillars of what we use every day, from a physical standpoint, training, mindset, teaching others. You know, we're here to help people just create their best life, because we're living the dream every day. And yes, we still have hardships, but we've done well to come to where we are now from what we've come from.
United Health Education certainly gives our tools to other people. The things that they're missing, aren't they, really? Because Julie, you can look at how you morphed your instruction now to help people move better, and people who have lost movement.
Yes, so when people come to my class and they say, oh, I've never been to a class before, and you can tell that they're over 65, no one ever has the handbook on how to age. As I said, if there could be the handbook on how to age, it might be a little bit easier. I'm sure you could buy it from a bookstore, but the ultimate handbook is never given to anyone, and it's only through self-awareness, and that may come from just education. Hey, are you able to turn your head? For example, are you able to turn your head without turning your whole body? Neck mobility.
So how amusing is it? I mean, even this morning you got a call from somebody in America who was saying, I've got a 94-year-old patient who I've just been asked to work with. And they look to you for a resource, because you can help people learn and teach others how to move better.
Yes, yes. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I think people get very scared that, oh, I've got a 92-year-old who's got heart conditioning, they've got diabetes, and blah, blah, blah. take that all away. Focus on what they're actually coming to you for. And they may say, I just don't want to fall. I want to be able to walk well. Come back to the basics. And again, I come back to our beautiful resources at United Health Education, which is all about stability, which is about coming back to bringing back movement back into your body, which for all of us, we have lost. And it's coming back to say, hey, I haven't got my neck mobility. I need to bring it back in. And again, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It's just that with what we do, we bring it back and make it simple.
We play the long game. I hope we can all be 94 and still training and, you know, even make it to 100. So
Exactly.
we're definitely in it for the long game.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? So these are the tools that we can certainly help everyone with, is to become confident. Whether you've got a 10-year-old patient or whether you've got a 100-year-old patient, human beings have certain anatomy that we all are consistent with. We all move in 3 planes of motion. Well, as a professional, you can learn from United Health Education what the principles are that apply to all human beings, and just understanding the variabilities that come with certain ages and certain experiences in life that may make a person a little bit more broken by the time they come and see you. It's about really, our resource is there for all these answers. We've been through it. We've enjoyed building it, and we continue to build it. It's only better because everyone asks us questions. The more interactions we have, the better it is. So we really enjoy the United Health Education journey and our collaboration together. Now we all enjoy each other's company so damn much. Yeah, we do get so much, and it's us at the top of the community can give to our people at United Health Education whatever they need to become a great health professional and to fulfill their dreams about being an authentic individual, who they are. No imposter syndrome. You are who you are, but maybe you just need the answers to help you deliver that person better.
So we look forward to continuing to bring the community together and widen our community as well and really make a difference in the industry.
Absolutely. We enjoy the journey and together we grow.
That's it.
Let's see you become you.